Good afternoon and welcome to Tea Time Tuesday, everyone. I see everybody's coming in to join us tonight here at the Renewal Center. We are so excited you've taken the time to come and join us on tonight for Tea Time Tuesday. While you are here, go ahead, like and share. Invite your family to come in. Invite your friends to come in. Let them know that we are streaming live. And then also, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, we are actually airing live over there as we speak. Go over there, like and share, and even take time to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay on top of what we are doing with our broadcast over there too. Good afternoon, Londa. So good to see you. And Monique. We see some other viewers coming in. Welcome to Tea Time Tuesday once again. And you know, we are exceptionally excited this evening. Hello, Londa. So good to see you. We are so exceptionally excited tonight because this is our special Tea Time Tuesday. And so while you are at it, just go ahead and get your pen, your paper ready, your tea time journals. Hope you bought your tea because we're going to be looking at part 2 of the imposter syndrome. And so we're exceptionally excited again. I just keep repeating that because it's a great night. And I hope that everybody is settled in and ready for tea time tonight. So let's move forward with our awareness of the month. And what we normally do here at the Renewal Center is acknowledge different awarenesses. And of course, you may know that July brings us National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. And we honor that particular awareness because in July we celebrate this because it brings light to learning more about mental health and how it impacts social well-being in minority communities. So we want to spread the word that that's what we are honoring this month. Hope that you are honoring that and finding more information about that. And, because of our mental health, it's really important that we stay abreast on how to keep ourselves healthy. And so this is the awareness that we are focusing in on this month. Once again, July brings us National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. And so we want to talk about our tea of the week. We're still in the mid part of the summer, and we bring you a nice, cool iced tea, which is passion fruit iced tea. And who would not want a nice, refreshing tea to beat this heat? It's hot. And so you can make passion fruit tea out of green tea, black tea, white tea, add your sweetener of choice, and then actually bring in some passion fruit. You can go ahead and steep that together, drink it hot, or you can drink it like a nice, refreshing iced tea. And so our Renewal Center's tea of the week, again, is passion fruit iced tea. If you've had that, go ahead and put some hearts out there. If you haven't, then maybe you can try it. Have y'all tried passion fruit iced tea?
No, I haven't before. Well, iced tea. Yes, iced tea. That's right.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yes. Well, how about passion fruit hot tea? Hope I see you shaking your
hot,
head.
but definitely iced.
I've tried it hot and I've tried the cold because passion fruit is one of my favorite fruits. So anything with passion fruit, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, passion fruit tastes pretty good, doesn't it, Hope?
Yes, sure it does.
They probably drink it over there in Jamaica. They drink it in Jamaica?
No, that's usually the hibiscus tea.
Oh, okay.
It's a more popular tea there. Hibiscus, yeah.
It sounds very tropical.
It is. It does. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I tell you, Tea Time community, y'all go ahead and put in the chat what you're having tonight. We're excited about you joining us tonight. Go ahead and put what you're having to drink, with your tea, water, whatever. And while you're doing that, Hope is going to take us into a time of locating ourselves because we're so excited to just be in a place to relax ourselves. So Hope, you can take it from here.
All right, sure. And hello again. Welcome, Tea Time community. This is our time where we locate ourselves, and that's where we take a moment to pause, kind of relax your shoulders and engage in breathing just from the day, just to shake off the day. And as we take time to locate ourselves. So if you're new, this is something that we do in our Tea Time community and invite you to join us to do this as well. So we're going to take a moment to locate ourselves. All right, wasn't it great? And the scenery is just beautiful. Just takes us to the ocean scenery, just a beautiful sight there as we just take time and we just breathe in and out and relax our shoulders, relax your fingers. Just shake off the day. Yeah. All right. All right, Tea Time community. And that was our locate yourselves. We're going to go ahead and pass it over to Patrick. While we're passing it over, make sure you have your tea time journals and your drink that you're having this evening. I'm having a sparkling water, blackberry sparkling water this evening. So again, welcome to Tea Time. Hello,
All
Patrick.
right. Hello, hello. Good to be back. I tell you, when I was in Amsterdam and in London, I had tea every day. So it is definitely good, but I had tea with an accent. So it's good to see you.
Yeah.
I don't know if I did well with that.
Did the accent make the tea taste different?
It surely did. It was very good. All right, I did though. I tell you, in a proper British breakfast every day. But anyway, it was nice to be there, and it's good to be back with you. So again, thanks everybody. I got the chuckles, so excuse me for that. Good to be here. Good to be here. Good to see you, Tea Time audience. Good to know that you are relaxing this evening with our special tea time each fourth Tuesday at 7 p.m. and that you've located yourself, because it's important how we enter a space, and really sit with where we are. And so I'm excited about our renewal practices. I hope that everybody's having a good July. I know this is a great summer for you, and we're still here connecting with you, focusing on our renewal practices. And so I want to go into our part 2 of what we ended in June, which was overcoming the imposter syndrome. If you were with us, please go back to our YouTube channel and subscribe, as Carmela said earlier, and you can go back and replay that particular renewal session. So if you're out there, please let us know. Just go ahead and hashtag I am renewal in the comments. And I just want to make sure that we're all connected. Please tag others, your friends, share it on your social media page so you can increase the engagement and really move into our renewal practices for today. So I want to emphasize that imposter syndrome. We were talking about that mainly because of this subject matter around when people are experiencing specific thoughts and feelings that relate to, feeling like they don't really should have this success because it shows up in the context of work or relationships or friendships. And so if you're experiencing self-doubt, a lot of times is when it shows up, or when you typically would excel, but then there's an experience that you have that's a lot of negative self-talk or self-doubt that shows up. And it can show up also in symptoms of anxiety, even can show up with that. But it's not necessarily a mental illness, but it is connected to a particular perspective that we want to talk about and reiterate. So I just want to just really quickly make sure that we understand a common definition or description is that imposter syndrome is a psychological experience. It is a mental experience. So I just want to lay that foundation again, that is a mental experience where, you experiencing self-doubt about your abilities, about your accomplishments, even when the evidence suggests otherwise. So it's really an experience when someone's experiencing imposter syndrome and how it shows up, like there's a lack of confidence or self-confidence in your work, or there's a sensitivity to small mistakes, and there's a fear of success or failure, or there's a burning out from working too hard. All these would be considered symptoms of the imposter syndrome. And one of the things that we focused on is that it comes from a cognitive distortion. So, for instance, something that's positive, we disqualify it, or we go through emotional reasoning, or we experience mental filtering. These are just a recap of our last time together. We jump to conclusions about ourselves. We experience what we call magnification or minimization. And again, that is when, the threat seems very massive, but the opportunity seems minimal. And that happens many times when someone is experiencing this whole imposter syndrome. So today we're going to emphasize, what do we need to do about it? What can we do about it when you experience it, or if you experience it, what are some of the things that you can do to be able to do that? All right, good to see you. Hello, Dr. Paul Brown, our dad. How are you, sir? Hello, hey, Renita, good to see you. How are you? Thank you for being on. And so we want to encourage you today about what we need to do. What are some actions that we can take to help us with this experience of imposter syndrome? So if you're ready, let me know. Let's go ahead and dive into this. Now, a couple of things I want to say. I want to start out that there are many different people that experience this imposter syndrome. Specifically, Maya Angelou said this: I've written 11 books, but each time I think, they're going to find out now. I've run a game on everybody and they're going to find me out. You mean to tell me the late, great, towering, intellectual, incredibly scribal, creative Maya Angelou experiences? Absolutely. People at different levels, the greatest among us in the various areas of industry, artistic, science, you name it, go through these experiences where they think they're going to be found out. And so if Maya Angelou can experience this, if we can experience disqualifying our positive, or underestimating our value to others, or emotional reasoning, you feel it, so it must be true. We mentally filter things. So if others can experience it, we can experience it as well. And so I wanted to start out with that, because you may think, well, wow, I'm the only one that's going through this. Absolutely not. There are others who are experiencing that as well. And so today's focus is really about solutions, about ways that you can have empowerment moving forward. And how we're going to do that? Well, first of all, I want you to think about feeling. Write these 3 words down. All right. Feeling, pause, and action. Feeling, pause, and action. And this is really, when we say locate yourself here at the Renewal Center, that's what we're talking about. Where are we? Looking at where our feeling is or where our thought is. What are we experiencing? And so when we have the feeling of this imposter syndrome that comes, we acknowledge the feeling. That's really what it is. Acknowledging the fact that this is where I am. This is the space that I'm in. And when you acknowledge the space that you're in, what that does is that's awareness and empowerment. That's self-awareness and self-empowerment when you are allowing yourself to sit with a particular thought or sit with a particular emotion or feeling. That creates what we call self-awareness and self-empowerment. Everybody with me? Self-awareness, self-empowerment, when we sit with the feeling, we allow it to be there. That's the first phase of us being able to overcome or work through not just the imposter syndrome. I think this has applications in other areas of our lives. So that's number 1, feeling. Number 2 is the pause. Now I want to ask you, Carmela or Hope, why do you think after we sit with, or we're aware, or we acknowledge the feeling, that we pause? Why would you pause based upon our conversation tonight, as well as previous tea times and in the previous conversation renewal practices we had about the imposter syndrome? What are your thoughts on that? Why would we pause? I'm going to ask our tea timers the same. Why would you pause after you sit with the feeling, the thought, or the emotion?
Well, just like I just was doing just now before I even answered, the whole gist of it is you're getting all of the information. You're assessing all the information. You're taking the time to be self-aware. Where am I in all of this? And that last bullet was action. Before you even move, you want to take stock of everything, your behavior, or, well, what do I do to go forward? How can I move on before you just go straight into go? You're at a stop, but you don't want to just necessarily just go directly into go. You want to be able to write out your solutions and see where you are. And then once you feel comfortable and you have the solutions, then you can move into action.
Absolutely. And I want to encourage everybody that this is not just about a feeling, it's also thoughts. So it's not just the emotion, but it's also the thoughts that come to us. Hope any thoughts on that you have, or any response, feedback you have regarding, why would you pause once you experience that particular feeling, emotion, or thought as relates to imposter syndrome?
I would pause the process.
Okay.
Me pausing is just being able, after an experience, to be able to pause and kind of collect my thoughts, kind of go over how I feel, kind of see kind of what happened. So just for me, it's a reflection and processing.
Okay. Pause to process, reflection process. Okay. Good. And thank you both for what you're sharing, because I think that one of the key things that helps us is we many times rush into other cycles or patterns of decisions without the pausing. All right. And that's one thing here at the Renewal Center we always talk about: pause, reset, build resilience. That is kind of like, our theme for Tea Time Tuesdays. And so it's important that we practically train our minds to do this before we start moving into other types of decisions and choices. So we're pausing, and then we will take action. Now, I want to build on this a little bit more, because the goal of pausing is to pay attention. There's a pause between the feeling and the action. That's the first step of being intentional about attention. Let me give you an example. I'm going to read something here just as an example. For instance, the feeling may say, I feel like a useless person in a world of grown-up professionals. I feel like a useless child in a world of grown-up professionals. Let's just say that's a feeling or thought that comes. We pause and we take it through what we call a rationality filter. Now, the rationality filter will say, well, first of all, am I a child? The answer is no, I'm not, right? So I would ask myself, well, okay, rationale, is everything about children useless? No. See where we're going? Rationale. Who defines the word professional? There it is again. We take it through the rationality filter, and what that does is, I want everybody to write this down and type it in the comments. How useful or how helpful is this feeling and thought? How helpful is this feeling, or how helpful is this thought? That helps you become rational. That helps you with the rationale, the filter that we need to have. All right. We press pause. We run it through the rationality filter, because sometimes it's not just our feelings that aren't rational, our thoughts aren't. It just comes out of the blue. Here comes that thought, and it's like, okay, why am I thinking this? Well, first of all, let's pause. And then, is this thought helpful? Is this useful? Is this useful for me to use my energy for this? And really take our time to answer that question. And I really want us to think about this. Today is really practical solutions to not just dealing with the imposter syndrome, but different types of stories that come. We all deal with them. We all create them. It's part of the human anatomy of the brain. The stories come, they're creating, they're there. Sometimes people take us all the way until how they going to talk, what they're going to say when they see that person. I mean, they have a whole production going on in their mind. So again, I want us to take our time, feeling or thought, pause and action. Pausing, which is self-awareness and self-empowerment, and putting it through the rationale filter. That's a conscious choice. Why do you think it's important, Tea Time community? Why do you think it's important to run it through the rationality filter? Your thinking and your feeling. And Carmelo, I hope if you want to chime in on that, please feel free to as well. Interrupt me at any time, because I want to ensure that that we all understand that the feeling and the thinking at times when it comes to imposter syndrome, it's there to stall you and to minimize your capabilities. It causes you to increase in self-doubt, when eventually it leads to a whole host of feelings of anxiety when we're in different situations. So any thoughts on the rationality filter as far as why we need to put that feeling or that thought through the rationality filter?
I think it's very important. Really interesting that you said filter. That was really going in my mind at, when you were asking the first question, because I think it's essential to ask those questions, who, what, where, why, to find the facts, because when you run it through a grid and when you run it through the filter, you're breaking it down. You want to find out what's true and what's not.
Yes.
And, what's accurate and what's not. And I think what jumps out to me the most about when you were asking, is it helpful? I'm thinking that question applies to, does it have any value? Does this really add any value at all? And then if it adds value, then you can move on with it, in some form or fashion. But I think it's so important for us to run it through that grid and that filter first to see where we're at. Because if we don't have the filter, then we'll just accept anything and move off of what's, like you said, those preconceived notions or narratives or whatever is not true, and move out in untruth. It's good to have the facts available.
That's good. That's good. Hope any thoughts on that?
I was thinking, like, I think Carmela, you said filter, like filter, and I was thinking of like how we filter, how water is filtered. Like with filtering, it takes up, most of the impurities and things of that nature. So for us, maybe like filtering will help to take out some impurities in our thoughts, of what we're perceiving and what we have experienced, which allows the chance to have a different perspective than the one that you initially had when it currently happened at the time. So that's kind of why it's good to take that pause. So then, like we say, pause, reset, build resilience. To take that pause, as Carmela said, like to filter, and allow our thoughts to be filtered through a different lens.
Absolutely. Good. Thank you for sharing that. The rationality filter, and the important principle here, renewal practice, is about pausing. So that's one, because that's what? Self-awareness, self-empowerment. Two, rationality filter. And Carmela, you talked about facts, and we're going to dive into facts here shortly. I want to come up with a few comments. So if you can, let's look at what our audience is saying, Tea Timers. Go ahead and read this one, Hope.
Okay. Never be in a rush. Pausing allows one to make a decision that is well thought through. Dr. Paul Brown, thank you for that comment. Right. To determine what's truth or false, logic or emotion, etc. Thank you, Tina, for the comment.
Absolutely. And that is about, again, running it through the filter. That's what that does. You can read this next one as well.
Sure. I think it helps so that you're using your time, energy, and focus on things that are going to move you forward and encourage growth. No wasted energy. Thank you, Renita, for the comment.
Absolutely. No wasted energy. And again, we've defined energy as, energy or emotion is energy in motion. So an emotion is energy that's in motion. It's got to go somewhere. The emotions got to land somewhere. The thinking has to be expressed somewhere. And if it's bottled up, it might show up in your shoulders. It might show up in your twitching. It might show up in your palms getting sweaty. It might show up in your back. It might show up in being tense. But the energy that's in motion will go somewhere. That's why filtering is important, and why we keep saying here at Tea Time over and over and over again, pause. Pause, reset, build resilience. Why? Because we live in a world where everything is just pause. We can't even pause to order our food. Everything. download the mobile app, pause right now. I need it now. I don't want to wait. So the pausing is helping us, like we say, locate ourselves, because we got to be mindful of how we show up. And whether it's not about good or bad, it's about awareness, right? And empowerment. Carmela, if you can maybe read this next one as well. Here's another one.
Okay, Yolanda, she's saying, filtering helps me carefully assess all variables related to the issue. Sometimes our emotions can cause us to incorrectly view or perceive facts from false information. That's right, Londa. Thank you.
Yes. So again, we're pausing. All right. I appreciate all these comments from our tea timers today. And again, folks, we're talking about what we need to do to help us navigate and combat, really deal with this feeling or experience of the imposter syndrome. And again, we started out talking about pausing and before we take action, and the importance of going through the rationality filter. And again, what's that question? How is this helpful? How helpful is this feeling? How helpful is this line of thinking? And then once we ask that question, then we can act on or dismiss it. Because if it's true, then it's like, okay, what do I need to do? If it's not true, I need to dismiss it and keep moving. That's why the rationality filter is so important, because it helps you assess properly. Now, here are a couple of things I want us to identify as far as what are some of the archetypes in the research, in the literature that talks about their archetypes or perspectives of the imposter syndrome. And sometimes we might find ourselves in any of these. All right, so here are some of the archetypes. Oh, let's look at these. One, we got the perfectionist. Now the perfectionist has more of a affinity towards a particular perspective. The perfectionist has anxiety over how things are done. If things aren't done in a certain way, then many times we can experience an imposter syndrome if we have this perfectionist attitude. So that's the first one. The second one is the expert. Fear of having a lack of knowledge. Now, these are different archetypes. So if a person has a perfectionist typology in their mind, they experience this anxiety over how things are done. Well, was it done right? It's not done right. And so if it's not done a certain particular way, then many times you can experience, you have more of an affinity towards experiencing imposter syndrome, or if you're constantly seen as the expert. I got to be the expert in everything that I do. I got to be the one that's constantly the expert in the room. Like right now, I'm not an expert in any of these things we're talking about on Tea Time. All right. These are just, we do research. We look at the literature. We are transparent, right? This is where we are. And we convey it in a way that we create the community in order for us to pause, reset, and then create renewal practices around it. That's the goal behind Tea Time. And so there are times when we want to be the expert, or number 3, the soloist. I got to handle this alone. Nobody else is getting it done, so let me just do this by myself. That's the soloist. Again, the archetype is up top, but the story is at the bottom. The archetype is the perfectionist. The story is you have anxiety over how things done. The archetype is the expert. The story is fear of having a lack of knowledge, because you're always supposed to have knowledge. The archetype is the soloist. The story, feeling the pressure to handle things by yourself. The archetype, the natural genius. And so if I have the archetype of the natural genius, the story is we create stress over not succeeding on the first try, right out of the gate. Then there's the superhuman. The superhuman archetype. And then the story is feeling guilty if you don't please everybody. So let's just look at these archetypes today and locate yourself, if you will. Locate yourself and think about these 5 archetypes, and perhaps think about ways that have shown up in our lives, showing up in our friendships, showing up in our relationships, and showing up in our world of work, our ways of working. Especially if we're dealing with critique, if we're not seeing the results, even though your gifts, talents, abilities, capabilities, and competencies may say otherwise, the imposter syndrome experience tells you, well, you're supposed to be perfect in this, or the expert in the room, or you got to do this by yourself, or you're naturally the genius in this, and you're the superhuman or people pleaser. And as a result of these 5 archetypes, there are stories that are created that bring more stress or anxious feelings regarding imposter syndrome experiences. So, T-timers, I want you to think about these 5 archetypes and locate yourself on this and wonder, okay, what do I have more an affinity for? Maybe not now, or maybe historically, you may have had some patterns. You know, I know for me, there are times I function as a soloist in different things. There have been times that we know just get it done, feelings to handle things alone. And as a result of that, we can tell ourselves continual stories, perhaps. All right. And we can experience that when really we're not supposed to be able to handle that by ourselves. You're supposed to have help or reach out for help or assistance. So there are various things that we all experience. So Hope or Carmela, I want you to, perhaps share anything that you may have experienced or observed, or just your perspective on any of these archetypes, and how you think that can impact this experience of imposter syndrome. Or our tea time audience as well. Feel free. A lot to think on, huh?
Well, I think this is good. This is good information. And all of the different imposter syndrome archetypes that you have shared. I mean, looking at that, many of us may have been multiple, operating in multiple of these things. But I think it goes right back to the cognitive dissonance that you shared last time, and how we move in and out of those areas. It could possibly be identified through it. I think it manifests in these 5 areas. Not just that these areas exist, but I think it's because of the cognitive dissonance that causes us to behave in this way. And so I think that we can take a clear understanding from this and to learn to grow from this, to see, okay, I identify in one of these areas, and maybe because of some of those areas of cognitive dissonance, maybe causes us to overestimate things. Or underestimate things. That's why we got to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Or, we believe a narrative that nobody else can help us. Nobody else knows more than us, and we might start moving into the emotional reasoning of, am I qualified enough to do this? Or, all of these things, I think it applies back to the cognitive dissonance, just showing up in these 5 areas.
I'm glad you said that, because when I look at that, I thought about jumping to conclusions. And how fast when we just go straight to the negative, no scrutiny whatsoever, with no scrutiny, go straight to it. We become a mind reader. We become a fortune teller. This is how it's going to end up. We already telling ourselves that about ourselves. And then as a result, that may not even be true, but because we don't take the time to take it through the pause, and pausing leading to the rationality filter, we end up staying in that story. We stay stuck in that conclusion. That's just an example. Just here's where it is. I'm jumping to conclusion and immediately going to the negative. And so I'm glad you brought that out about that whole emphasis on cognitive distortion from last time. Thank you for sharing that, Carmela. Hope any thoughts on these 5 archetypes, just as a potential mindset concerning this imposter syndrome experience.
No, I don't have any. I'm just right now just processing and looking at everything, taking it in regarding this information. This is really, really good content that's being shared this evening. Absolutely.
All right. Good, good. Want to hear from our audience. What are your thoughts on the archetypes? How does this resonate with you? How does this resonate with your previous experiences in life, in your work or your job and relationships? And again, these are renewal practices that we want to implement. And I brought that up so we can really see what resonates with us, and you can really think through your own experiences. Now I want to shift to some of our resolution ways that we can come out of this line of thinking relating to the imposter syndrome. So let's walk through these. All right. Ways to overcome. Now let's move into the instructional part. Carmela, you thought about this earlier in the term that you used was about facts. And that's exactly right. Focusing on the facts. Focusing on the facts. That's number one. And the importance of focusing on the facts is really going to help us. For instance, I've had an experience where, and you may have had this, I don't know, where it's like, well, I don't feel like I'm good in this area. You go through a situation or a circumstance and you question your abilities. All right. Something may come up. And so the imposter syndrome, if we describe it, it's like it makes you feel or think like you're not good at what you really are capable of doing. And so that can create this aura of self-doubt or fraudulence inside. And it's really based on fear. It's what it really is. It's not really based on reality at all. So the best way to do that when we talk about pausing and going through the rationality filter, number one is to focus on facts. Separate your feelings and your thinking from the facts, because sometimes our thoughts are not facts. We may think they are, but they're not. This is what I think. Well, your opinion may not be facts. It may not be. Right? And so, again, like for instance, we can say, well, my goodness, summer is hot. Well, that's a fact in the north right now in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, it's winter during June. You see, it's a fact where I am, but it's not a fact where they are. So you gotta, at this time of year it's cold. But when December comes in our hemisphere, it's a fact, but in their hemisphere, it's not. It's cold. They're on the opposite end of the world. And so I think it's important to enter into facts, which gives you a full lens, a bigger picture of what's really happening. And I know we can't make our brains undo or uncreate stories, but it's important to center your life around facts. So everybody, all of our tea timers, type this out. Center around facts. Center, if you're going to pause and run into the rationality filter, center on facts. Otherwise, next time you're in a situation, it'll make you feel like you're an imposter, right? Facts versus the stories. Let's keep going. What else are we going to do? Learn from team members. Learn from other people. Learn from others. Listening to them. Active listening is important. When you are a person that is learning from other people, what that does is it minimizes comparing yourself to peers. It helps you when you learn. You can eliminate allowing yourself to compare, and that's very tempting. And what it does is when you learn from team members, you experience what we call reframing. So you're asked questions like, "What do you think about that, Hope? What are your thoughts on that, Carmela? What's your sense on that? How does that resonate?" You start asking questions, and that removes you from this whole comparison problem as well. All right, tea timers, let me know that you're out there. All right. So again, we're just walking through a couple of things. I'm going to go through these really briefly here, so we can all be on the same page. So, all right. So we're going to learn from team members. Fighting feelings with evidence. Fighting feelings with evidence. Don't allow the emotion to get out of control when you don't have any evidence. Ask the question, how do you know it's true?
Mm-hmm. That's good.
We don't take time to ask that kind of question. We just go straight into this because I feel it is right. No. Or because I'm thinking it is right. So it's important that we use our evidence. Fight the feelings with evidence. Ooh, this is important stuff, isn't it? Look for evidence. Okay? That helps you fight the doubt. Evidence. And once you have the evidence of the contrary, that is, again, empowerment. All right, let's hear from the audience. I think we got some folks, some comments coming in. Center around facts. Center on facts. That's right. Center on the facts. Center on facts. So important. Hope you want to read this by Tina. Go right ahead.
Center on facts. We should question our thoughts. Sometimes we can't help that they come, but we can decide what we do with them. Engage, dismiss, etc.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, that takes us back to what we were referring to earlier about filtering through the rationality. Then we can act or dismiss accordingly. So again, centering around facts is so critical. All right, we've covered 3. We got 6 more, but I want to just pause. Focus on facts, learning from team members or others, fighting feelings with evidence. Any thoughts? What resonates? I can keep going.
I like fighting feelings with evidence.
Okay. Why that?
Because your mood could be, going back to when we talked about, it might be hot here, but somewhere else it might be actually cold. It depends on where you are. Well, today is Tuesday. My mood, I might be excited. And I might, actually embrace something, I might embrace something that I'm short of or fall short in, or okay, that's all right. I'll be okay. So I embrace that. But then tomorrow, it depends on where my emotions might be. And then you just thoughts are running amok, and it's not even true. What you're thinking or what you're saying, it could be based off. I like what you said about that, about looking at evidence, what's real and what's not. And you can't just always rely on emotion, because emotion it could change from one spectrum to the next, depending on how you feel. So then goes back to running it through that grid of facts, what's really real and what's not.
That's right. That's right. And asking that question, how do you know it's true? Where did you get your information from? What is the evidence? And we ask that about ourselves. Imagine how productive we will be when we put it through the rationality filter.
Yeah.
Even the people who say, well, I'm not emotional. Everybody's emotional. Everybody's intellectual. Everybody. If you're happy, you're emotional. If you're sad, you're emotional. Everybody walks through emotion, and we walk through. I mean, I'm a Steeler fan. We win, I'm emotional. I'm going in, so everybody has some level of emotion, some level of rationale, some level of intellect, so again, we all experience that, but it's important to have the evidence, acknowledging and releasing feelings, reframing our negative thoughts. I really want us to hone in on that reframing, anticipating the feelings. These are ways to overcome, maybe not all of them, but these are just different approaches that we could use. What resonates on all of these 9 blocks here? What else resonates? You got sharing it with someone, finding a mentor, celebrating a win, anticipating the feelings. What may jump out to you out of these ways, as well as our audience? If you don't mind typing in the comments, out of these ways to overcome, what jumps out to you? And go right.
Oh, sorry. Celebrating your wins. I think that's important. I think sometimes, we can overlook what we have accomplished or what progress we have made, because we haven't fully completed the whole particular thing that we're doing or operating in or functioning in. And so sometimes we need to be aware and have awareness of the progress that's being made. And so sometimes we think it's insignificant to celebrate small wins. And it's important because it continues to build resilience when we're able to celebrate the wins and continue to help us to navigate moving forward in a positive way instead of, like you said before, I think you said kind of, but you were using it in the different contents that sometimes we immediately go to the negative. And that can be the same for, our emotions or what we're going through. We can immediately go to, oh, it didn't work out this way or it didn't happen this way. But then there was some progress that was made and maybe not the full scope of what we wanted to see right away. But it's okay to celebrate the successes. So I think it's important to be aware of the traction or the footsteps that have been taken to get us to a certain point, even if we haven't fully completed the actual journey. So I think it's important to acknowledge and accept and be aware of our successes.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Celebrating wins. Yeah. Toot your horn. Every now and then you need to do that.
Yes.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. That self-affirmation will help you overcome that imposter syndrome. And I want to emphasize, for what jumps out to me really is about reframing the thoughts. Reframing the thoughts really jumps out to me, and I resonate with that one in particular. And because there's power in my thoughts. And so the way that, I approach the world has the power to shape my reality in both positive and in negative ways. And so I think it's important that folks, if the next time you make a mistake or the next time you experience this thought or perspective on imposter syndrome, say something like, that wasn't my best work, but I'll do better next time. That wasn't my best work, but I'll do better next time. And leave it at that. Instead of saying, that sucks, that was awful. Reframe it. I mean, folks gonna tell us off, so let them tell us off. Don't tell your own self off. You know what I mean? Don't have it. You'll do it. I'm sure they gonna say that was terrible. All right, well, don't you tell yourself it's terrible, and we say, you know what, that wasn't my best, but I'll do better next time. That wasn't my best work. I didn't show up the best way that I probably could have. I'll do better.
That's good. That's good.
And I think I want everybody to type in the comments, reframe mental language. Reframe mental language. All right, that resonated with me today. The one about reframing our negative thoughts, but it's also reframing our mental language, the importance of that. And what you do is you rewire your brain to be more supportive. It's just like wearing your watch on one side and you switching it to the other side. All right. Or you go home one way all the time. Take a different route so you can rewire your synaptic nerves. It's the same thing with what comes out of our mouth and our mental language. And I have to do that. I have to do that in my doctoral program. You know what? It wasn't my best here, but it'll be okay here. I'll improve this particular grade. And you can make adjustments in your mental framework. And that helps you with your own personal competitive edge as well. All right. Important that we're able to do that. Got a couple of comments coming in. All right. Folks are sharing that we're sharing. Tina said, me too, Carmela. Prove it has been my stance. What resonates with Michelle is acknowledging and releasing feelings. Thank you for sharing that. All right. Go ahead. Hope if you can read this one.
All right. Dr. Paul Brown says the evidence shows one, whether they are in or out of control, make the adjustment based on the evidence.
Make the adjustment based on the evidence. All right. We talked about evidence. All right. Looking at the facts. All right. Yolanda says, I love this. Thank you. Thank you. All right, folks. Everybody type out reframe mental language. That's what that's an important principle in this renewal practice. let's go back to again one more time our ways to overcome imposter syndrome. Also sharing it with someone and finding a mentor. What that really is about empathic listening. And the key reason why we do that is the mentorship part. Check your mentoring right now. And if you can write down, if you're taking notes or mental notes or journal notes, put down hard and soft skills. And the reason why is because mentorship relationships should help improve, increase, or expand our hard and soft skills. Our hard and soft skills. So, in other words, what skill sets would be our sharp competencies and capabilities that we have, or it's knowledge that's put into action would be considered a skill, right? Something that I've been trained in and sharpened enough, not just zeal. Okay, it's one way to be excited, and it's one thing to have skill, which is the ability to implement. That makes sense? So looking for a mentor helps you with hard and soft skills. So that way, when that little voice says, you ain't good enough, you're not good enough, wait. In your mentorship relationship, one way is saying, I want you to help me or hold me accountable. And this is where coaching comes in for us as well. For those of you that need coaching, Carmela is a very good coach and she can help you with that, those types of things. Is really to help you with your hard and soft skills and hold you accountable on what's going on up here. Okay, so just want to share that because there's a little voice in the back sometimes that'll talk to you and try to tell you. So one way of doing that is finding a mentor, even a coach. And what that will do is give you practical advice, support, and most of the time the coach gives you the accountability. So the difference between that mentor and coach part is the mentoring is about the advice and about the support. The coaching is about the support through the accountability for your own development. So that's the uniqueness with the mentoring part. And mentoring is not, well, do what I do. Mentoring helps you discover your path and get principles. Coaching helps you with the shift in your mindset, and that takes time. It ain't just an excitement session. It's about accountability and the types of decisions that you make. All right. So I think it's important. And that might mean like finding somebody highly respected in the field, or, you know, you put yourself in a position. I want you to ask yourself, have I put myself in the position to learn from this respected person? Like, am I in a learning posture, basically, to improve a hard skill or a soft skill? And that helps you with the imposter syndrome as well. Gives you a confidence boost. Okay? All right. Before we close out this evening, I want to hear from our Tea Time community. Any other thoughts? Yolanda is sharing here, reframe my mental language, acknowledge, prove it with evidence. All right. Very good. Thank you for sharing that. I hope, Carmela, any other thoughts just overall? We've covered 2 sessions, one in June and our session this evening. Is there anything or what resonates with you the most out of our sessions? I'm going to bring up the slides again for our audience to just recap. And if something overall or specific from a high level or zoom in, zoom out perspective, what may jump out to you? Just kind of free flow. And I'm going to bring up some of our slides, previous slides, so the audience can see that. Go right ahead. Anybody? Just kind of sitting with it.
Well, I just want to say that I really like the fact that when we talked about evidence and you went back and talked about the pausing piece, once you come back with more appropriate answers that are real, that are true, like you were saying, instead of taking yourself down a rabbit hole with, negative self-talk, you came back with some appropriate solutions, and those solutions were evidence that were true about yourself, about the greatness within you. And so I appreciate that the evidence that you did bring to the table was the fact of the good things that you possess inside. And that overrode those 5 areas right there. It really overrided overrode all of those areas so that we do have another solution. And the solution is the evidence of the good things that reside in us that combat these imposter syndrome ways. I really like those. These are great. Thank you for sharing that with us tonight.
Thank you. Yes, fighting the evidence, looking at the evidence. Hope, any thoughts, what resonates with you, or any overarching themes perhaps that you're thinking through?
Well, I just want to say that this has been a great tea time session. There's many parts that I would say that would, be, impactful for me in understanding. So just the part about the filtering, and because I'm big on thought processes and thoughts, just taking time to be able to filter through different situations and allow those things that are not conducive to forward movement to be filtered out, and keep moving forward with a positive mindset, and just taking that moment to pause. I think pausing is important. Pausing is the foundation of, of what we say here at Tea Time. So there's just was a lot of points here. I took a lot of notes and just want to go back and go through these. But I think that this particular things and the information that was shared from previous in June until now is definitely impactful and provoking thought to continue to move forward in these, in these particular areas. And even if we want to watch it again, if you want to view it again, you can do so on our YouTube channel. So if you need to go through it and rewatch the program, because sometimes you have to go through it and look again and hear it again to really get it. So I just want to tell you thank you for tonight's Tea Time.
Thank you. And thank you both for your engagement and comments. Incredibly valuable. Thank you, our Tea Time community. Want to hear from you. What are your takeaways? What's perhaps new that you've learned? What is something that resonates with you that you need to sharpen? What is something that you need to just continue to refine and revise or reframe? Definitely want to hear from you, because again, this is about increasing and building resilience, and we do that through community. And again, we did talk about the learning posture. Charlie said hello. Absolutely. That's a question that we're asking this evening as it relates to mentoring and coaching. Okay. Am I in a learning posture for our hard and our soft skills? All right. Synergizing those so that we can experience the growth that we need to grow. So I want to bring up these last two slides again. What particular archetype may resonate with you and why? And also, what ways to overcome imposter syndrome may resonate with you and why? And you can feel free to answer that now, or answer that in your journal, or just in your thoughts this evening, because we really want to think through ways to overcome the imposter syndrome. And so again, we want to thank everybody for connecting with us here at the Renewal Center in our Tea Time. And I think this also helps us with our emphasis on mental health, minority mental health as well. Even though this is not about mental illness, it is about our mental health and our wellness. And so here at the Renewal Center, we really want to emphasize that. And so I like to also really remind you of this image we had. There's the assumption, and then there's the reality. Sometimes we think what I know is smaller than what I think others know. And so we minimize. That's the imposter mindset, when really people know just as much as you do. Everybody has an area that they need to grow in. That's really where it is. Everybody has a space that they're emerging and they're growing in. So again, what are your takeaways? Feel free to continue to share this on your page. Share this with your friends and your family. Tag someone to let them know to watch the replay as well. Before we finish, just want to, first of all, thank you for connecting with us. And I want to give you an opportunity to donate to the Renewal Center. Please take the time, if you don't mind, and think about ways that the Renewal Center has strengthened you and added value to you. And if it has, or even if you're new to the Renewal Center, says, I want to support your programming. I want to support the emphasis of what you do as an organization, as an agency. They want to give you an opportunity to connect us in our Summer Giving Challenge. I know many of you are on vacations or you're traveling. I want you to think about, consider the Renewal Center and becoming a monthly partner with us starting today. These are the ways that you can give and support to the Renewal Center. All you would simply need to do is you can either download our mobile app. We definitely encourage you to download the mobile app. But also, we have Cash App, which is Cash Renewal Center. We have our Zelle and also our PayPal, which is the Renewal Center 2020 at Gmail. We have Venmo, which is at Renewal Center. You can also text Renewal Center to the number 888-364-4483, or you can go to our website and go to the renewalcenters.com/give. So, and of course, you can always mail your check or money order to our P.O. Box, 1381 Concord, North Carolina, 28026. And so we're grateful for the opportunity to partner with you. Want to give you an opportunity to do that. So just pause for a moment, take the time today to say, you know what, let me partner with you. This information on pausing and resetting and building resilience has really strengthened my life. I want to be a partner with you. And if you haven't given to the Renewal Center before, this is your opportunity to say, wow, this is what I'm supporting. You can do that today. And so we want to invite you to partner with us as a renewer and as specifically as a tea timer today. So a couple of more announcements before we pause. Just want to remind you, make sure that you download the mobile app. For those of you that are entering into this space for the first time, the Renewal Center is about that. And so we want you to connect you with the RC. You can stay connected to our blog. You can stay connected through our mobile app to our digital content right there at your fingertips, literally right there. You can continue to listen to our other content as well. Want to invite you to our New You Digital Discipleship, which is our Sunday. If you're not connected somewhere, he says, I want fellowship. I want to connect with a body of people who want to walk in Christ. This is part of our ministry as well. We have our New You Digital Discipleship each Sunday at 10 a.m. Please connect with us through our Zoom and our digital audience. You can go to our website, our mobile app, as well as our social media pages to connect with us and register for that as well. We also have our summer prayer times coming up in August. We have just completed July. So mark your calendars for August 7th and 14th. Those are Wednesdays at 7:30. We've been doing that twice a month for the summer before we go back into our reforming culture teaching in the fall. And I also want to share with you, in addition to that, we have our Women at the Well Bible Study, which is coming up again as well, and which is going to be the first Saturday. All right, August 3rd. We just finished the July 13th. And I know Carmela probably and Hope can testify about the last time. And so looking forward August 3rd. All right. So please make sure you connect with that. We want you to be a part of this community. We're open. We're here to serve, and we're excited about it. And then also one last thing I want to share with you coming up here, August 3rd, is our grief recovery webinar. All right. I'm excited about this. Our grief recovery webinar is about navigating grief. And that's the introduction of our GPS, grief, pain, and stress programming. And so it's really designed to help provide compassionate support for you. So this is going to be August 30th, 7 to 8:30 p.m. It's a Friday. It is virtual. We're excited about you being a part of that. So what we will do is it'll be pinned in this comments, as well as on our Facebook page, also on our social media pages, also in our mobile app and our website. So you have various ways that you can connect. Save the date. And if there's anyone that you know is experiencing grief, this will be a good opportunity for them to understand what we do and how we serve and show up at the Renewal Center. All right. So again, let's see what some takeaways are coming. Okay. Michelle says she's got in late and will watch the replay later. All right. Thank you. Dr. Brown says very edifying. Thank you so much for being on. Hope if you can maybe read Charlize's comment. You're unmute yourself. Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll review again for a deeper insight. What I'll take away for now, check my positioning status. Am I open to learn, grow, and emerge?
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Charlize. All right. Hope, Carmela, any last comments before we close out for this evening? Anything else? Any takeaways?
Well,
All
I
right.
exceptionally enjoyed it. Thank you so much for sharing this information. And this is definitely going to help me even grow even more. So thank you for this renewal practice tonight.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And again, thank you all, everyone, for being on. This has been wonderful. We'll see you. Our next tea time will be August 6th, the first Tuesday at 12 p.m. So please save the date. All right. We have 5 Tuesdays, so we won't be in tea time next Tuesday on the 30th. But we definitely will be back on August 6th at 12 p.m. And we look forward to seeing you there. And as we say here at the Renewal Center, I am Renewal. Take care of each other and definitely take care of yourself as well. All right. So thanks so much for coming on. And I'll continue to just loop these comments for you so that you can, excuse me, not comments, but the announcement so you can know what's happening with us. All right. So again, thanks so much for popping on and we'll see you next time. Have a good evening.